No, you. I see. She's here.
Lady first?
No.
No. Okay, well, at the risk of making a fool of myself, I've got to be honest with myself and with you. So, one thing I'm finding difficult to overcome is apart from having a cold shower to remedy, is to overcome sexual desire for women. And I guess this affects everybody, but on the path that we're on, it must be contained and suppressed. But I really need some ideas to how to overcome this, because it is a serious problem, and I guess serious for everybody.
Yes.
But I guess you guys must have overcome. You must have to overcome it.
Well, otherwise we wouldn't be enrolled for such a long time.
Exactly. Yes.
I mean, we just cannot behave like lay people, Yeah. Now, celibacy is one of the main things in Buddhist monasteries for Buddhist monks. I mean, even the slightest intention is punished very strictly. That means, helping yourself, or how do you say, masturbation is not allowed, and it leads to a heavy penalty for the monk. So there must be some ways, how to overcome sexual desires. I mean, I'm utterly surprised that a lay person asks this, because normally it's just a monk's affair. But it's good. And there is a way. Sexual desire is the most powerful thing. There is nothing that is as strong as sexual desire. And the moment you become a monk and you close the outside world, it even becomes stronger. So the monks have to have a way how to deal with it. But the onslaught of the sexual desire can be so strong, like it is said in some of the stories of the older monks. I mean, some of them were so overcome, and they didn't want to give in, that they put a razor blade to their, what is it called? Arteries, and wanted to cut it off. But that moment they put it on, that sexual desire disappeared. But that is not the usual way. The usual way is, when you're back home, pick up a medical anatomy atlas and look in the pictures. Look the pictures when the body is opened up, or if you have the time, to look at some doctors, open a carcass, that is really helpful, because that shows us how we really look from inside, and it's not pleasant. So, sexual desires come up through sexual images. Images.
Okay.
So visions, we see a woman or we see a man, and then sexual desire arises. So, what we have to train ourselves before we actually can attempt to remedy this is to bring up pictures that just do the opposite. And that means looking at a carcass when it's opened up, or removing the skin from a person. But that is some training. That needs a lot of training. Or just looking at the shit that comes out. Or looking in the stomach of this person. You have desire for. Look at the stomach and look at the food, how it is there. The sexual desire will go instantly. The moment you just, you have that image, or you see that person, and we ourselves as monks trained that. Pucha said, he trained it, just to see skeletons running around. He didn't see even women or men. I mean, I myself trained the same thing, or I sometimes, in 1 year, or in one rains retreat, I just trained, to strip off the skin of each person that I saw. I mean, then sexual desire cannot arise. And the same happens when you have an image coming up in from your memory. I mean, just strip off the skin. I mean, just look at something that is so disgusting that your sexual desire just disappears for the moment. I mean, the first thing as a layperson that we have to do is we cannot allow ourselves to run after these sexual things. That's the first thing. And then we bring up these images, these loathsome images of the body. I mean, it is written somewhere in the sutras, that when one of his monks fell in love with a courtesan, with a very, very beautiful, how do you call it, courtesan, a prostitute, noble prostitute. The moment she died, he ordered that monk to stay and see that body rotting away. And see, and he told him, look, what is that? It's just a body. And this body is just going to, do you want it anymore? After 3 days when it's bloating up, and when all these little bugs come out of it, when everything turns to pale or green or whatever, do you still want this body? Do you still fall in love with this body? So, ask yourself this question. That's what the Lord Buddha taught. And he made him stay, and he got rid of his love or desire. So that seems to be the way that the Lord Buddha taught. And that is what is called in our terms of practice a super practice. But you won't find this kind of practice, or you will hardly find this practice taught anywhere in the West. Because people just don't want to see the body as something loathsome. They see it as the utmost joy. They see it as the utmost entertainment. So if somebody tells them that this body is really ugly or loathsome, they don't want to hear it. But you find it here in this forest tradition because the forest tradition just practiced like in the old times at the time of the Lord Buddha.
Like you say, it's a very powerful emotion, and no sooner one image comes up, you try and get rid of that, and another one comes up.
Yeah.
And then it's almost as if you just got to keep on, like you say, treating them all like the decaying or decomposing bodies.
Yes.
But the Falun ways have a cold shower really to cool things down and then forget about it.
Yes, that is the first thing. But yet that will not help it.
Yeah.
I mean, to see the body as loathsome. I mean, our own body, we cling to the body. The moment we look in the mirror, we think, oh, today I'm looking fine, I'm nice, and then I put, I dress myself up. Why? Just to be other people attracted to this body. Isn't it? I mean, otherwise we could wear always the same dress. Or we could always wear the same clothes. But we want to attract other people. That's why we go and style our hair. That's why we go to style our body. Yeah? Some people go to yoga classes, to make it more like this. And some people go to fitness classes and so on and so on. Just everything around this, in this whole world, is around this body. So it is very difficult. I mean, it takes a lot of work. And I mean, it will take a long time. I mean, I just know from my own experience. It takes a long, long time until you can do it. And then, you're ready.
Like you said before, so much rubbish we've lived with all these years.
Most of it, 95%, you just can sweep out with Buddha. But these 5%, where you have to use the loathsomeness of the body, or where you have to use investigation of pain. What is pain? You really want to understand. When we talk about investigation, we really want to understand. Not what we know, But we want to understand what is the truth about this body. I mean, if we ask what this body is, then we get all these physical explanations from doctors or scientists. But that is not what the body is. The body is contained, and the only thing that makes us not throw up is that skin. That makes us attracted to is that skin. But that is just a fine tissue. And inside of the skin is a whole lot of rubbish. I mean, blood, poos, and so on, shit, and everything. Undigested food, half-digested food, and so on. I mean, when we see that, do we get any lust for that? Do you want to eat that half-digested food again? Just that memory, bring that up. Just this memory of this, I mean, we are not hungry after that anymore. When we are hungry, we can bring up these images. Huh? I mean, there's still some food in there. Just look at it. Oh. And you're not hungry anymore. So, and it's the same thing with a woman. I mean, you had enough experience with women. I mean, it comes all to the same thing. I mean, I just sometimes, what is so called the climax or orgasm is nothing else, huh? Now compared to, there's a fire. We put our hand in the fire until we can't stand it anymore. And then, if we have a cold bucket there, we put it and relieve the pain. Wow! I mean, that feels so great, isn't it? And that is the same thing with sexual desire. We heat ourselves up until we can't take it anymore. And then we check. And that is the desire. That's what we call orgasm. The biggest thing in our life. But it's actually just compared. I mean, the heat that we use.
Short-lived. Very short-lived.
It's just like, we put our hand in the fire. But if there is no cold bucket, close to us, I mean, we are in trouble. I mean, we have to stay with this heat. We can't get rid of this heat. That means if we bring up sexual desires and don't have a partner to get rid of our sexual desire, I mean, then we are really on fire. So the first thing is not when the sexual desire comes up, I mean, to contact immediately. To cut it down, huh? First, with Buddha, then to bring it a little distance, and then, bring up these images, all these images. And the more you train each day, when you train each day, just to look for 10 minutes at disgusting images. Reading Thai's newspapers where you see people, in an accident, and they show everything.
Yeah.
I mean, they show, how the brain, trips out of a person. Yeah. I mean, it's shown in the newspapers on the front page. I mean, in the West, it would be impossible.
Never see that.
No. So, I mean, that's their education. So they think it, they like it, and they see it, and they're confronted with it daily, and see, it's part of our nature. It's part of our nature to die. It's part of our nature that this body is loathsome, when you see it there, rotten out, or when they bring up a corpse, and it is half rotten away. I mean, they bring the picture in the newspapers. But in our newspapers or magazines, you see only beautiful things. You never see loathsome things.
Mm-hmm. You're quite right. They never show any images like that in our newspapers. Always something.
And that is the reason. The people in the West normally don't like it.
No.
They don't like to be confronted with
reality.
Well, that is one thing, but also with unpleasant things.
Yes. Yes.
We all have to die. Yes. I mean, we all go to the toilet once a day, at least once a day. I mean, we see our shit when it comes out. Do you like to eat it again, or do you like to, put it in your hand? You like to smell it, I mean, we don't like it, but it comes out of this so adored body. We adore this body so much. And that's why we are so unhappy when it goes.
Well, I have a saying, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die.
Yeah. I mean, death itself is not the thing that people are afraid of. Some people are, who have done a lot of bad things, they are afraid of dying. And they are afraid of because they know they go to hell. But people who are normal people, who have done some good, in their lives, they are not really afraid of death, but they are afraid of the pain of death.
Right.
When the whole body tears apart, and the pain is so great that we die. The first pain, we received in our life, was the pain of birth. I mean, it was nearly so great that we died in the channel, in this very narrow channel. So somebody gave us a hit on our poops, and then we cried out, and that was life. But some people die in that channel. So the pain of birth and the pain of death, that is the thing that we loathe. The mother, the same thing, I mean, she wants this child, but she goes through an excruciating pain when she gives birth to a child. But then she forgets, the moment she sees the child, she forgets all the pain. And that is the thing, We forget about all these things. So the moment death comes, we think about all this pain. And most of us will die in pain. Only a few of us, just will sleep away. So investigating pain is one of the things how to overcome the fear of death. Investigating the body is also overcoming the fear of death, but it's also overcoming sexual desire. And it's also overcoming greed and hate. The first object of investigation is the body. And with the body comes, of course, bodily feeling. So when we investigate the body, inside, outside, from top to bottom, open it up and close it, put it in the bits and pieces, and understand what is the body. I mean, when we refer to somebody, we refer to his body. I mean, we wouldn't just recognize anybody if there would be no body, and just his character would be displayed. It would take us a long time, to recognize a person because of his character. So we recognize him because of his body. So we have to understand, what is the body? We are greedy because of the body, we hate people because of their body. Most of the time, people who are more handsome, or who live in a better bodily position, then we envy them and want to take that away from them. And most of our life, all the time that we spend in our life, we work for the body, we sleep for the body, and we die for the body. 95% of our life. I mean, if we earn enough money, then we enjoy this body. I mean, we go to enjoyment places where the body gets some, enjoyment, excitement. And then we come back home, and then we have to work again, that we don't, Most of the time we work. Just for this body, to house it, to feed it, to give it medicine, and to put it to sleep. And in the end of our life, what have we left? Nothing.
Just the body.
Just the body that has died already, So, what have we done with our life? We poured all our energy, all our strength, from the time we are young, into this body. Just thinking about that makes things so ridiculous. Instead of using the time, that we are here in this life to gain some values that will overlift the body, that we do for our chitta, then this life you could be satisfied with this kind of life. If you do wholesome things, if you do not do unwholesome things, that gives good karma and that gives bad karma. But no, just look at your friends, just look at the society. Everything is advertisement, everything goes around the body. The body, the position, the money. But what is the money for if not for bodily enjoyment? No. I mean, then the people can go to brothels or whatever, or go to Thailand, and find some cheap prostitute and get some AIDS in return. I mean, that is sexual misconduct.
More pain.
Yeah, more pain and death, and a very very painful death.
What the Christians say is that the wages of sin is death.
Is what?
The wages.
Mm-hmm.
The wages of sin is death.
The wages of sin is death.
Death. Oh.
The wages, meaning the payment of sin,
Yeah.
is death.
No, it's hell.
Yeah. Yes. Hell on earth. Oh, thank you for clearing up those points and
So every day, just to remember, every day you have to look at some very unpleasant pictures at the beginning, just pictures about body. I mean, when you see a dead animal, just look at it, go closer to it. When you see some shit of a dog or some others, go and look at it and say, this is just the same thing. It comes out of my body. Look at your own shit.
You have yet to give me the books. You have yet to give me the books that once I have all these pictures.
Remind me when Ken is there. Because I can't remember what book it is. I can't remember. I mean, the books come and go, and then I don't keep track of
all
them.
the dead bodies, some of the slums.
Yes, there are some nice pictures in there. So that is, if you do that daily, it will stick sometimes to the mind. And then you can bring in, once you're after meditation, you close your eyes and then bring up these pictures. If you can bring up these pictures, then you go inside the body. And then just try to see at the beginning, of course, it's just black. And then just put your attention onto one of these, your organs, or, be it the skin, or be it the hair, or be it outside things. I mean, put your concentration on there until you see an image coming up of the real thing. And the real thing is much more shocking than just some pictures. So if you do that daily, it will reduce it. And each time, lust comes up, just try to bring up these images. Of course, in the beginning it will be very difficult. And the moment this image drops away, the other image comes back. And then you have to bring it up again. And then, you bring it up again, and bring it up again, until it stays. Until it can stay.
it's like a continuous movie.
Yeah.
Only with different images coming in,
Yeah.
attacking your mind.
Of course. It's not only, you see it when you do meditation. It can be images, it can be thoughts. Yes. Images are just visual thoughts. I mean, they're displayed as visual, and they have, of course, much more content than a thought itself.
Yes.
It shows us so many details, yeah?
Yes.
That's why we get so hooked on it. So it's very good that you asked this question. It's a very important question. And it is mostly only taught in the forest traditions. Because other people don't, they're not interested hearing about this topic, or they still want their sex, and then they still can see the reason, and some of them even think they can get enlightened, by having sexual conduct. And that is impossible. The Lord Buddha said it is impossible. You can't.
I think it's a question that is perplexing almost everyone. Almost everyone. It's whether they admit it or don't.
Yeah.
It's inside. It's still a problem.
Of course. That's why we are born.
Yes.
I mean, sometimes you see some females, I have no sexual interest. And you look at them closer, and inside it boils. I mean, you can see it. If I as a monk, haven't indulged in sexual contact for 15 years, I can see that. I mean, if some people, have some sexual energy, when it comes up. It's not difficult to see it. Not if it's normal, but if it starts to boil up, you see it. Of course, every one of us has to. And then just look at Freud, how he said, that the sexual desire, Rangacha Mahabodhi actually says the same thing. I mean, it finds all its way. It finds its way into power. Okay.
Everywhere.
If you have power, we lose the interest of really sex. If we have enough money, we tend to lose the interest, because all our desires is after money, or power, or fame. So people like that seem to have less interest in sex. Take the power away, take the fame away, take anything away from them, and then suddenly they are, where is that coming from? I haven't had it for 20 years. Where is that suddenly coming from? Because all my energy I put into fame, or all my energy is running after money. So I didn't even have time, for the other sex. Just like Freud explained, how it goes. People who drive a Porsche or Mercedes or whatever, that is their display of sexual energy. Or motorbike, for a man, motorbike. And for a woman, a dress, very miniskirt dress. Or, where you can see all her above features, the dress. So. More or less openly, inviting you to touch her. But the moment you touch her, whoops, you get a whack on your cheek. Because they only want to attract the persons they love. But actually with their displaying, they attract any kind of man. So they should be careful for what they ask.
But basically women are looking for a suitable husband, partner, a husband, to have children, bring up a family.
Yeah.
Male is looking for somebody suitable to have a family with. And so, nevertheless, it's a universal problem. And if it's contained, there's many examples how it can destroy people's lives.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Because sexual misconduct is one of the biggest problems in the West, or also in the East. It doesn't have any borders. Look at India. That at the time of the Lord Buddha. That was the number one problem.
And there's no respecter of persons. It can affect kings, servants, slaves.
Everyone. The training of a king or the training of a monk is a very, very rigorous training. He just can't indulge. He has a responsibility. He is at the front of a nation. He just can't do that. So he has to restrain himself. If he can't restrain himself, he becomes a bad king. If he can restrain himself, just like a monk can restrain himself, he becomes a good king or a good monk.
King of Thailand.
Yes, like the king of Thailand. And he is really restrained. He has been a monk for 2 years, so he knows. He knows some of the basic rules. Huh?
You only want one wife. He only had one wife.
Of course, he is not allowed to have more wives.
Yeah.
Buddhism doesn't allow a second wife. Buddhism allows one wife, one partner. That's it. Be loyal to the partner. Muslims allow, 20 wives or 30 wives or 40 wives. Chinese, when you look at the Chinese emperor at that time, he had, I don't know how many, hundreds.
I thought Buddha's time also has many, right? They have the harem.
I don't know.
Yeah, India.
I don't know. I really don't know about the early Indian history, especially not at the times of the Lord Buddha. But what you read from the suttas also, the king had only one wife. It depends on, King Henry VIII and his 8 wives, or what was it? And so on. It goes through the history, and it will go through because that is the one that that forces us to be reborn again and again and again. So if we can cut that, if we can cut sexual desire for good, there is no more reborn.
When you cut sexual desire, as good as you're cutting off greed and hatred, China.
comes with greed and hatred is cut
Because
off
they are
just the
very
same.
close. They're very close because
They are inside. I mean, there's part, sexual desires comes out in forms of greed and hate.
yeah, because one thing and
Yes, we like one person and we hate the other person.
yeah.
And I mean, the ones who loved each other so much, within some seconds, they can turn into the fiercest enemies.
Yeah. Ajahn, this is very beautiful. Could you expound on that? I noticed that, especially if someone you're very close, when you speak, it's really arch enemy of your whole century.
Of course.
But if
because he's the lover. I mean, he's the foremost lover in your life. And then something in this relationship goes wrong. And then this love, just turns into the same kind of hate. The more you love that person, the more you will hate them.
it's the same value. Like not with the
Love it. I mean, that is what is our investigation to be about. To understand what actually is greed, what actually is hate. Until we see it, it's just one and the same force.
It's on the opposite.
But it seems to be on the opposite. People who have a lot of hate, I mean, they don't see their greed. Once they stop their hate, all this energy goes into greed. Once they stop the greed, all the energy goes into hate. That's like, for instance, for smokers who stop smoking. I mean, they hate so much the smokers after that. I mean, it's unbelievable. They are so intolerable with it. Because they force themselves to cut that greed for cigarettes or the greed for smoking. So they can't tolerate it. And whoever they go and see smoking, I mean, non-smokers who never smoked in their lives are much more tolerant than than smokers who quit.
Yes, on one.
I mean, that is amazing. Why? Because they cut their greed, through rational things. Not that they cut their greed through wisdom. And that's why they have to put that energy, that normally went into smoking, and, just throw it out on the other hand, on the opposite side. I mean, it's all understandable. If you see as energy, when you look from the physics point of view, energy doesn't disappear. So if you cut it in one, I mean, it will come out on the other side. So, that also means, for a monk, if he's an ascetic monk, the moment he cuts all the sensual desires for the world, I mean, the pressure will build up. I mean, it is like you have a big tank of water with thousands of holes. So what is the monk doing? He stop,
Stopper.
Huh?
He puts stopper out of
He puts stoppers in each of the holes. The pressure of the water, then comes out through little holes. So the remaining holes, the more he stops. I mean, the last hole, and that will be sexual energy. It comes out in an enormous power. And then he has to find wisdom to eliminate that. And the wisdom can only be gained through investigation of the body. Nothing else. If you really understand, because the greed and hate is rooted in this body. The moment you destroy our illusion about this body, you see the true nature of this body. I mean, greed and hate have no earth, have no pot to keep them. Just gone. I mean, greed and hate just will dry out. I mean, they will not disappear from one moment to the other, but they will dry out. They have no strength anymore. You take away the earth and you take away the water, and whoosh, it has to dry out. Sooner or later, and it is dead. There is no more greed and hate. But for one person it takes a week, and for other people it takes years after they cut that off.
Another thing, I noticed that just now you gave an example is husband and wife or couples, having loving relationship and peace power. But they're talking about mutual friends, Even if mutual friends, they can be very best friend of friends.
Yes.
When they split, your best enemy is your best friend. But if you notice, if someone, these two persons, they're on friendly terms, yet very cordial. Not very close, formal, but very friendly. But if there's anything sour, the sourness won't be that bad. Versus a person who are so close, like sisters and brothers.
I mean, it really does not matter if the person is close or if the person is far away. I mean, just somebody, you have no relation at all, comes up to you and criticizes you. I mean, you will have a very, very bad feeling about this person. Instead of having a very bad feeling about yourself. You blame it on that person.
You shoot the messenger.
Yes.
You shoot the messenger.
And that is a very good thing. You shoot the messenger who brings you the death paper of your son. Because he brings you the bad news. I mean, what has the messenger to do with the news? I mean, he just brings it up to you. But you hate him.
Yeah. He switches it over because they can't bear it.
Yeah. And that is what happened in relationships, whatever, Then, from one moment to the other, love or admiration can just go into its opposite. Because it's just the same thing. I mean, if we like something or if we dislike something, it's just a matter of the mind. It's just a matter of the chitta. I mean, we can switch it. One moment we like it and then, we rationalize it and say that's not good, so we switch it. So we don't like it anymore. But we can only switch it with wisdom. I mean, through force, it will find, it just finds its way into the opposite.
The mind out of control. The mind out of control.
Yeah.
Yeah, no control.
And that's the problem. That's the first problem we notice when we start practicing. The mind is never in control. I mean, we are never in control of the mind.
Yes.
Somebody else is in control of it. So. And he does what he likes, or he does what he has done all his life. So we have to stop him. I mean, we cannot persuade him to stop. Okay, now I'm sick of your jokes. I'm sick of your bad jokes. Stop. Go to hell. I mean, he won't. So that's why I said, everything is understandable. If one understands it, if one understands greed and hate, one understands this world. That is based on greed and hate. We love people and we hate people. I mean, there's hardly any person except for Narayana who loves everyone, every being. Even if we like a lot of people, most of the people we like, we might hate animals.
Yes.
But if we like, and some people, of us like a lot of animals, they have their dog that they so much love, but they hate the people.
It's not easy.
No, it's not easy.
In the Roman Catholic Church, where priests are supposed to have so much responsibility with young children, in the West, it's a huge problem because of sexual misconduct, especially with boys. It's a very sad stories. They come out years later, and he goes through the court and all this. But if only they could look at the way the monks live, it's not an austere life for them. They make out it is, but it's not.
No. I mean, that is the problem with priesthoods, because they are too close to lay people. Yeah. With the Catholic priesthood. I mean, as long as they are in their monasteries, I mean, that is okay. But the moment there are priests in a church or in a cathedral, I mean, the only one they have, I mean, they see the women. I mean, and at our times, the women wear barely anything. And they come into church with a miniskirt. I mean, that priest sees it, and he gets desire. I mean, he can't control it because he doesn't have the way to control it. Because Christianity doesn't talk about it. I mean, they talk about it, the hand that stretches out to that woman, then they cut it off. But it's not the hand that stretches out. It's the chitta that stretches out to that woman. I mean, cut off the chitta, yes, that's a great idea, but you can't cut it, you can't kill it. Because wherever the chitta goes, there's the body, there's the sensations, there's the sexual desire, there's greed and hate.
Could I ask you, again, this is a perplexing problem in my country, and the government seems to condone what is happening, and that is same-sex marriages. It seems like a sickness that's been given the government blessing to go ahead. True Christians are against it, of course, but nobody can stop it. And now it's like anybody can go away. 2 men can marry, 2 women can marry. It's out of control.
Well, it certainly belongs, not as strong as the others, to sexual misconduct.
Yes.
Homosexuality, lesbian. I mean, what is happening? It's sexual conduct. Maybe it depends on the behavior of these people. If 2 men really love each other, and they don't care about anybody else. I mean, they don't have to be married, or they just live in a partnership. I mean, that is okay. I mean, that is tolerable. If they don't bother, the other people around them. But it's still not right. Because both of them, either one of them, has just changed its sex in the last life. I mean, before he was a woman, and now he suddenly is a man. And he cannot accept that change of sex. I mean, it all happens to us, from time to time, that we change sex. I mean, you have been a man before, and now you're a woman. But the moment, if in your last life, you were a very cute woman, I had a lot of lovers, and now you suddenly change, from being a female to a male. I mean, you will have problems. You don't like women. I mean, you like men.
Is that basically the reason that this comes about?
Yes.
Because our churches actually do nothing.
They can't do anything. I mean, they are so afraid. They are so afraid.
Yeah.
I mean, the church is so afraid now. Because just 50 years ago, you remember? I mean, they were constantly, strictly against it. 50 years ago. 1950, 1960. I mean, they just didn't allow it. But now they become weaker and weaker and weaker.
We call them apostate churches. They sit on the fence. They won't say yes, they won't say no. And yet...
Because they are afraid of their influence.
Yeah.
And the more they are afraid of their influence, the more they lose it.
Yeah.
I mean, if they really speak up, that is the point. I mean, people can accept it, or some people can't accept it, but that is their problem.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, all what they have to do, if a priest comes and asks me, speak up, it's not correct.
No.
Same-sex marriage is not correct.
No. It's a sickness.
I mean, yes, of course we call it a sickness because it doesn't seem to be normal. But what is the sickness? The sickness is not being able to accept their karma. It's just like people who are tortured or people who are raped. It's the same thing. They cannot accept their own deeds. And that's why they go against, and everything. And now it becomes so, it's just moving around and then you're sexist. I mean, just saying some words, and you're sexist. I mean, that is what is wrong. I mean, we have the karma that makes us be born as a human being, as either a female or a male. And that is our karma. If we can't accept this karma, then we are in trouble.
I know somebody who has been raped, and all their life they never seem to be separated from that moment, that very bad moment that happened. Is there any way I can pass on to them about how they can free themselves from that?
I mean, if they are spiritual developed, then you can pass on something. If they are not, they will not be able to accept that. Because whatever we reap, is that what we have sown. So in a previous life, I mean, even if it clings very, very harsh, I mean, in a previous life, they have done the same thing to another person. And now in this life, it comes back to them.
Even a different...
Even a different person, a different area, I mean, whatever we have done, it will come back to us. If we killed a person, we will be killed. If we have killed a person intentionally, we will be killed intentionally. If we killed a person, unintentionally or carelessly, we will be killed carelessly. I mean, that we try in a car accident or train accident or airplane accident. I mean, that is the result of our karma. If we had no intention to kill a person, that is not, no effect will come.
Every single detail is...
to accept this, I mean, even now if I say this, and that comes to the West, the people will get really upset. But it's karma. I mean, when we are Buddhists, we have to believe in karma. That is the law that governs this universe. We believe in the laws. I mean, the laws tells us if you steal, you go to prison. We know that, but nevertheless people steal. If you kill, you go to prison. Nevertheless, people kill. So, I mean, they have to take responsibility for their lives. They have to take responsibilities for their actions. I mean, we know it with the law, but the universal law is karma. I mean, whatever we have done unto others will come back to us. That's why we have that saying in English, don't do unto others what you don't want others to do unto you. So whatever others do unto you now, is that what you have done unto others. I mean, that is so clear and that is so crisp clear. If you cannot accept it, okay, you cannot be a Buddhist. Then go to Christian church and ask the Lord, to ask for forgiveness. But karma is the law. I mean, as hard as it might sound.
No,
and that's why we can't accept it.
It makes much sense.
Of course it makes sense. Everything in this world makes sense.
Yeah.
The person who is born in a ghetto makes sense. The person who is born as a prince makes sense. The person who gets killed very early in a very cruel manner. The persons who are tormented by others. Everything is explainable.
You're accountable to yourself.
I mean, we say, in German we have that saying, the oppressor of today is the oppressed of tomorrow. Or the oppressed of today is the oppressor of tomorrow. I mean, it just says it. But we still fight. We constantly fight against our karma. Each moment we don't, whatever something happens that we don't like, we fight against our karma. And not, in that way we don't get rid of the karma, but we make it even worse. So it will come in a situation where we can't actually defend ourselves. I mean, if that woman who got raped is Buddhist, then she cannot do at least the Buddha, until she forgets that. And then after a while, she can reflect about her out, and she will see it. It is still in her. It is still in her. That same thing that led to this kind of karma is still in her. And she is going to do that in the next life to another person again. And then she will reap it in another life again. Because that hate for that. So I want to do the same thing unto him. Because he did that unto me. And there is no end of this cycle.
In this particular case, this woman, it was her father who raped her, and it made it so difficult.
A lot of times it's the father, sometimes it's the uncle, and some
family members.
I know one woman who was raped by her father, but she's a Buddhist, so she dealt with it in a more appropriate way. And that's the only thing we can do. I mean, we have to accept it. The first Buddhist, the first Buddhist principle is to accept your karma. No matter if you like it or not. If you can't do that, you can't call yourself a Buddhist. I mean, it's just like the people the Christians who run in the church when something bad happens to life. Oh Lord, take this unwholesomeness away from me. But they don't run to church when they win in the lottery. Oh Lord, take this winning lottery away from me because it bothers me. No. Everything, only if something unpleasant happens to us, we are going, we complain about heaven, we complain about the gods, we complain about the law, we go to the what is it called? Court, and so on and so on. We just can't accept it that we did it. I mean, we have to find a scapegoat. I mean, and every country has its scapegoat. I mean, did it help? The Germans had a scapegoat in the 30s. Did it help? To kill them off? No. I mean, now they are reborn. And we probably are reborn and are Palestinians, and now the Israel's taking care of them. I mean, it just says everything. I mean, just looking at the bigger pictures, shows us the mechanism of working of karma.
Thank you. Can I ask one more question?
Yeah, sure.
Well, again, where I live, the government seems to any young woman who is pregnant and wants to abort the baby, it's not a problem. It's just so easy. Years ago, it was strictly against the rules and regulations.
Of course, now, because the church said it is killing.
Yes, and so my question is, because of varying stages of the fetus when it's being developed in the mother's womb, when does the spirit, when does the soul, at what stage enter that baby?
I mean, that is very, very difficult to say.
Very difficult.
It is very dependable on the spirit.
Why I ask is because the medical people say, oh no, it's okay, the baby's only 6 months old, not even a baby yet, all this sort of nonsense.
I mean, the moment the baby moves, the moment the baby reacts within the womb, I mean, in the first 3 months it doesn't do anything. I mean, it's just some sort of cancer that is growing in the womb. But sometimes it can come, after 2 months. The moment the mother feels the baby is moving, the spirit is in. It might not be all time in. The moment it is there all the time, I mean, then it's a kill. 100%. But the moment, sometimes the spirit makes a reservation. Sometimes the spirit actually even still lives by making a reservation. It's an interesting story in the biography of Ajahn Mun, where an older lady saw, a niece was just pregnant, and her consciousness entered into that fetus. How you call it, fetus? Fetus. Yeah. And then she asked Luang Pu Man, I mean, how can that happen? I'm still alive. And my niece, just is pregnant. Huh? I mean, she saw it, probably it's second or third month. How can I cut it? So Luang Pu Man explained how to, you have to be very careful, but you can cut it, in a proper way. So she dealt with it for 2 days, and then afterwards she came back to Luang Pu Man. Okay, now my consciousness is not going anymore. And a few days later, this niece had how do you call it? Miscarriage. Because the reservation was gone.
I remember.
Yeah. I mean, a spirit, the more he's developed, makes a reservation, goes once in a while, if he's still in another realm, makes once in a while, goes there, and looks at it, makes a reservation that he's going to be born in this. But it's not all the time there. But if a spirit is underdeveloped, I mean, he might be there, I mean, the rest of the time. I mean, from the 3rd or 4th or 5th month on. Because he's already dead, or he's already died he came already from another plane. And then, I mean, it's a kill. You take that being the chance of being born. But it's very difficult to say. It can be 2 months. It can be only 8 months,
So in other words, when the sperm, before the sperm...
No way. No. I mean, the body has been built, You don't go in a car. You don't buy a car where you see only the bits and pieces. I mean, you want to have a functioning car, don't you? So, I mean, you as a driver, the chitta as a driver, I mean, looks for a functioning. So the sperm and the egg has nothing to do. That is not life. I mean, it has to be conceived. It has to be grown to a certain state where the spirit actually can enter. But then, of course, it depends on if it is a low-developed spirit or not. Then it enters very early. If it is a highly developed spirit, it enters later. I mean, who wants to stay, in that dark cave, for 9 months? I mean, not if you cannot choose it. So some spirits, choose, to go there once in a while, and that's when the mother feels the bomb, 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 and then it goes back again, and then before it is born, it goes in there.
Yes.
I mean, makes sense, huh? Yes. So it's not easy to tell, you really have to know the person. I mean, that's why in Germany, I mean, a doctor has to talk with a woman who wants to abort. But if he is able to really to distinguish what is happening there, I mean, I wouldn't like to be in his situation. I mean, really, it's very difficult to say.
But you see, most young women who get themselves in that situation want to get out of that situation. And
yes, but they got themselves through sexual desire into the situation, and then, I mean, they don't want to have the results of their action.
That's right.
So and that's what happens in the next life.
Yeah.
They want to have children and can't get any children.
That's right.
Because of the karma of this life. Yeah. They aborted their children, in an early stage. Yeah. Or they gave the children away. So what is happening in the next life? I mean, the children will be taken away from them.
Yes.
They are born, she gave birth to the child, and somebody else takes it away.
Yes.
Without them, can doing anything. I mean, karma in every kind of situation, it always comes back to us. So we have to be extremely careful. I mean, as a man and as a woman, we have to be extremely careful. And
restrain.
Well, restrain not only, but we have to accept the consequences of our action. So if it is a child, I mean, we have to accept it.
Because the medical profession are only too happy to carry out the action. They don't care about life. No.
Yeah, some of them. Not all.
Yeah.
I mean, there are. I mean, some of them just look for money, They see the medical profession as just money, so they don't care. But some of them, I mean, a good doctor always has a heart.
Yes.
And he's not very happy about it.
Hard to find.
I mean, good people are hard to find in this world nowadays. Really good people, be it lay people or even be it good monks, they're hard to find nowadays. Because this world is just going to go under. So, people who have that karma, to go under, I mean, are born now. And they are not good people. So good people now are very hard to find. And difficult to make out. Because the delusion is the number one concept in our world. I mean, just look at radio, TV, and newspapers. I mean, they tell us how to think. They tell us how to act.
Yes.
And we just follow that, and then we just get sucked up in that.
Yes.
How many people actually go to monastery? I mean, in the West now, it's ridiculous few. In Asia, it is becoming less and less and less. I mean, now going to what we see, only old people coming to a monastery. I mean, in Thailand. Most of the youngs are not interested anymore because they've seen everything on TV. What the Westerners do. They want to have their sex before their marriage. They want to try it out. I mean, they want to do all these things, the bad things, that the Western praise as being good, So it's declining. I mean, don't worry about what other people do. Worry about yourself. Huh? that you do not decline. I mean, be a mountain, in a land of sand, right? In the desert. Be a mountain, that doesn't move, that does not move, huh? And let the sand, just swim by, Of course, the friction will, wear down on you, but okay, that's fine. But don't move with them. Because then, you become just like sand, that moves in that direction.
Can I ask one more question?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I give the time now. Last time, I give this time also for you.
Oh, thank you very much. 1944, we had a younger brother. Myself was the eldest. Another brother 2 years, another brother 2 years younger. He died when he was about 1.5. And my mum and mother and father were very upset. He died of, I think it was because we find out later, his top teeth coming through the gum, and nobody picked it up. That infects the gum and then the brain, but he because nobody picked it up, then he died of epilepsy. Seizure. He was in terrible pain, and of course they found out later that the cause was if somebody had just cut the gum,
and put it back.
Let the blood out and let the pressure off. He may have survived.
Yes, but he might have survived and died later on.
Yes, he may have. But from the way you see that situation, because later on my mother and father adopted another little girl to take the place of our little brother, and then that filled the void, and life went on. But a terrible loss of that little boy then. How do you see that situation from a karma point of view for my mother and father?
Maybe in one of their lives. Now I say maybe, because I really don't know. I cannot judge. I don't know your parents. It could very well be that in one of a life, so far away. I mean, they just didn't have the money to support a child, or they didn't have the needs to support a child. So at the age of 1 or 2, they got rid of him. That is the karma of the parent. The karma of the child is that it has something done, and that has to do with the teeth. They come down, and made him, actually, epileptic seizure. That he has done that onto another person. That is his karma. I mean, the karma of the child and the karma of the parents is different. So a child who has that kind of karma will be born to a family who has that kind of karma. That the child dies very quickly. So they actually don't, in most of the cases, they don't have even a relationship to each other. They don't know each other. But that child, knows, that parents have that kind of karma, so it is born there. But, the children who grow up, mostly have a very old, I mean, over lives and lives and lives of a relationship with their parents. Be it their parents, or be it their lovers, or be it their brothers, or be it their sisters, or be it their uncles, or be it their aunts. I mean, that's a very long relationship. But in such a case, it might not be, might not be a relationship at all. Yes. So one has to see the karma of the parents different from the karma of the child. Okay. It's a karma of the child, to die this kind of death. If somebody has detected it and helped it, it would be also the karma of the child.
Right. Okay.
I mean, he did something bad unto some other people in a previous life, and then later on regretted it and helped a lot of people. That means, he will face this karma, of doing bad to other people, but he also faces the good karma of that people helping him. I mean, it all makes sense.
does.
I mean, if you see it in the right way,
Yes.
I mean, everything just makes sense. It's perfect. But the problem is people cannot accept the truth. They cannot accept that they are bad. They cannot accept that they had done bad things. Because they can't remember them. Most of them can't remember them. How can I have done that? How can they do that unto me?
Why did I do that?
Yes, why did they do that? And then the constant conflict with the world. And that doesn't better their karma, it just makes it worse. I mean, these people none of them are happy. So the parents did just the right thing. They said, okay, that child didn't, just was that. We make now recommendation or amendment to our karma that we kicked out the child. I mean, they didn't know that. Kicked out the child before. Now we take somebody who was kicked out and take him in our family. So they remedied their karma. I mean, they accepted their karma, though it was difficult in the beginning. But this karma will not come back to them.
I see. Well, it's all explainable.
Ah.
It all makes sense. Thank you very much. Yeah.
No problem.
This is something, the answers we have to come all the way around the world to find, because I can't find answers anywhere else that can be explained.
It's the same reason why I came here. Yes. I couldn't find the answers anywhere, so I came here. I mean, I know myself how deluded I was, before I came here. I mean, I just believed this and believed that because everybody around me believed it. But I never trusted, in the inmost of my heart, I never trusted. I never could accept the reasoning. I said that, I don't understand that, it just doesn't make sense. And then I found something where everything suddenly made sense. So another question?
I'll probably think of some more when I get back up to the bungalow.
Well, then it's too late, huh?
It's too late then?
I mean, if there's no... I mean, you had to come all around the world, Not all around, just a hop, How long? 6 hours?
Oh, no.
4 hour flight?
No, about... up to Tonkin anyway, about 14 hours altogether. 14 hours. It's about 10 hours to Bangda City, and then Bangda City to Bangkok, and then Bangkok to Tonkin.
From New Zealand, or?
Yeah.
Not a flight, or?
You can get a direct flight from Auckland to Bangkok, which is about 11 hours.
11 hours?
Something like that. Yeah.
So it's really at the other side of the world, right?
Oh, it's a fair way off, yeah.
Because from Australia it's just 4 hours to Bangkok.
Oh, wow, I don't know.
4 or 5 hours.
If we fly from New Zealand to Australia, it's 4 hours.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that New Zealand is so far apart.
However, it's been worth it. It's been I would do the same again.
So I'm happy.
Yes, I would do the same again. And now the challenge is only starting.
Yes, so now you have to put it into practice.
Into practice, yes.
And that is the difficult part.
But that is very difficult. But I accept the challenge because it's better than being deluded all my life, and so it has to stop.
Very good. It
has to stop, and it's going to take a lot of effort and commitment to bring it under control. But at least you've given us the roadmap and the destination to and the easiest way to get there. So we're much appreciated. And this is why I understand now that people I spoke to even come from Bangkok. I'm surprised they come all the way through Thailand to come to this wat here. Mm-hmm. And now I know why. But, I knew why before. But it just confirmed to me anyway, because the rules are different here, and it's highly respected a lot. And I can see why the discipline is so strict. So I appreciate all your help.
Yes. But, that doesn't mean, of course, if you would know Thai very well, you would find quite a few teachers here in Thailand every day. Who could answer your questions just the same way. Or might be even better. I don't know.
Oh, you've done very well. And you always add a bit of humour, which any speaker will always captivate the audience if they throw a bit of humour in. And so you've done very well. Thank you very much.
It's actually strange, for a German to have a sense of humour. The Germans are set, to be so deadly serious. Where's that humour coming from? If it's not coming from Dhamma, if it's not coming from wisdom, from understanding things in the correct way. British have quite a sense of humour, it is, one has to get used to it. But they do have. Americans also have quite some humour. People who can laugh about themselves don't see themselves so serious. But Germans can't laugh about themselves. That's a problem. But the practice in Dhamma, relieves us of our nationality pride and nationality characteristics. Yeah, it's good. And probably you needed some humor, I just noticed it before. The last years, and even if you listen to some of the talks, in the early years, there's hardly any humor. Just the last years it came through a little bit. Just the last months it was extreme. Seeing things in a certain way, brings some humor up. Tanaja Mahaprabhu sometimes laughs his ass off. When he tells some funny stories about some of the monks, he laughs sometimes he laughs more than the audience. When he finds it so funny, because of his view, he's standing at the top of the world and he views down on the world, and of course, he sees everything that connects up, and then he thinks it's so funny. And the people, who live down in the valley can't understand it because they look only, they clash with the view on the mountain and they see nothing else than this mountain.
For you, your commitment to do you can speak Thai?
Yeah.
And this alone must have been a huge challenge for you.
Yes, it was actually.
That's
why I avoided it. I knew it 4 years that I had to come here to this place, and I avoided it because I did not know Thai and I did not know the culture.
There's no alphabet. There's no. Wow.
Yes, it is. Actually, learning Thai is not so difficult in the beginning because Thai is very, very unspecific. So people, when you speak Thai, you don't have to be specific. If somebody asks you what you did, that is easy to pick up. But the moment you want to be specific or grammatically correct, then it's very difficult. Just like any kind of language.
That alone would have been a huge challenge.
Yes, I was still young, and I learned quite a few languages in my life. At least 3 or 4 other languages. So learning Thai was not that. It was a challenge. And the biggest challenge is the sounds. The sounds, the different intonation. The intonations, Yes. If you have a rising tone or if you have a falling tone, the word means something different.
Right. Very complicated.
Yes, it's very complicated. So when you say ma, then it means dog. When you say ma, then it means horse. So one has to be very careful. If one cannot catch the sounds, and if one cannot speak or imitate the sound, then one has a very great difficulty of understanding, And one has a very great difficulty of speaking and making oneself correct. Because the audience, the Thais, need the sound. Without the sound, they can't grasp the meaning of the word.
And the Thai sound, they speak through their nose, more nasal?
No.
No, throat?
Yeah, throat. A lot of sounds are through the throat. Not nasal at all. I mean, it's not nasal.
So I went to a health down Khao Yai. I went to a health week down there, and they asked me to give a speech. So I gave a speech and told them who I was. And afterwards they said, "Oh, that was a great speech, but we didn't know what you said." Because I talk from the stomach. They say I talk from the stomach.
I mean, it's not from the stomach, it's from your heart.
Yes.
From your heart. And everybody can understand the language of another, even if one doesn't know the language, if one listens to it from heart.
Yes, body language.
And I mean, if they listen to a foreigner, they listen to the intentions.
Yes.
I mean, the more they are there, the more understand, even if they don't know the language at all.
Yes.
And that would help me, of course, a lot with learning Thai. I mean, I always listen in the heart, I wasn't interested, what this word means or that word means, because otherwise I wouldn't have understood the context. I just listened there, and then in the beginning I got just the great picture, and then it became detailed, each year it became more and more detailed.
Well done. Well done.
So it's, for the moment it is enough. I really have to learn reading and writing. I mean, I know the basics of reading and writing, but when I read a word, it takes a very long time. How is it pronounced? And the Thais write one word after the other, so you don't know when the end of one word is. I mean, you have to know the word. Once you know a word, you see the other word, just sticks in between, so that must be a new word. Right?
Yes. Yes, very difficult.
That's not difficult. But the most important thing for me learning Thai was, to understand his thoughts. To understand Thanacha Mahaboa's thoughts.
Oh, okay. Why was that?
I mean, that was the most important thing, because I came here for Thanacha Mahaboa. I didn't come here, to talk to lay people.
Okay. Yeah. And he speaks very softly too. It's hard to pick up.
Yes. At that time, when he talked to his monks in the beginning, there wasn't any amplifier.
Oh, very hard to.
So you have to. That's probably why he did it. You have to concentrate very well so that you understand any kind of word that he says. I mean, it's just a method, to get the attention.
Yes. Brother Ken speaks very softly. And for me, I've got to listen up right close, because he has a lot of knowledge and a very interesting man to speak to.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, he's an interesting person.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone actually, most of the people who come here are very interesting people. I mean, you don't come just for the fun of it. You come to see. They are seekers.
Seekers, yeah. Seeking the answers.
Yeah.
So
they're very interesting. Most of them are very interesting people.
Yes.
So that would be very different. If I'm just staying somewhere, say in New Zealand. Right? I mean, the seekers wouldn't come. I mean, the ordinary people would come, and then they're not so really that interested.
Yeah. I find these two guys well developed intellectually and spiritually, and I can relate to them. We can talk about many things.
But that is difficult to find in the normal world.
Yes.
So people, seekers, go travel all over the world to find.
Yeah.
To find the answers to their questions, to find the answers to their life.
Yes. Yes. Looking for ourselves.
We go all over the world, to look for ourselves, and in the end, we find it within ourselves. Isn't that funny?
It is.
Wherever we go, we take ourselves with us. And we're still looking for it, We go to the end of the world and looking for ourselves, And then somebody tells us, oh, it's right here in here. Let's just look at it and you see it. Oh, wow.
Indeed, it's been there all the time.
Yeah. And it makes us trouble all the time.
Yes. Never ending. Never.
But until we make a stop and say, okay, now I'm going to enter.
Yes.
From that point on, it still will take a long time. But we change our track.
Yes. And I remembered what you said the other day was when you talked about routine and so in the morning, when you get up, go for a walk, you check it around the block. Till I get tired, then sit down, meditate, focus, morning and evening. This is something I did earlier in my life, but then I had a family, responsibilities grew up, and then many distractions.
Of course.
But now, no reason why I can't do it because I'm older and retired now.
So you can do it again.
No excuse.
No excuse. No? But see how clever the Kilesas are. They find excuses when you're back.
Yes.
Now it's too hot, now it's too cold, now it's not comfortable, now it's raining, now it's...
This hurts, that hurts.
How was it? Did you do a lot of walking meditation now in the last...
Since we spoke last, I have done. But the experiences I explained to you before, I've been thinking about how I related them to you. And as I recall, I might be walking along not thinking about anything, eyes wide open, but focusing on something, perhaps an object, while I'm walking. And that at that moment, not all the time, but sometimes I just get this feeling of consciousness only and no body. And it's only for, I don't know how long it lasts even. I don't even know how long it lasts. But when it stops, the reality that I've got to carry on comes crashing down like a ton of bricks on me.
Yeah.
And
hitting you.
It hits me. Can you explain how what actually happens? Because I've had a lot of injuries to my head. I thought maybe something.
It's a chitta. It has nothing to do with the head. There's nothing to do at all, Even if our brain is damaged, the chitta is not damaged. All what it happens, when our brain is damaged, the chitta cannot use the brain. Not in that, But the chitta is still there. The chitta is not damaged. But, if our brain is damaged, it sort of comes. Now, what happens is if we go into Upachara Samadhi or Access Samadhi, all our worries stop, and we will feel safe. It's just like you go into a glass house while there is storm outside. When you are in the middle of a bad storm, with a cold wind and, a heavy rain, and you're completely wetted through, and, it's cold, but you suddenly find there a glass house, you open the door, you go inside the glass house. The rain, you still see the rain, but it stops. It doesn't hit you. The moment you go out of the glass house, whoosh, everything is coming crashing down on you again. Yes. That's the explanation. Yes. And the deeper you go into Samadhi, the more the opposite comes up, the more stronger the change is. If you just go for a second, the change is hardly noticeable. But if you go there for a while, you feel like in the midst of a world war. Bullets everywhere. The Kilesas are shooting,
I wish to try and grab, I don't know the word for it, to retain that feeling and control it.
No, don't. You don't contain that feeling. All what you can do is grab that concentration, grab that point, of concentration. Grab that Buddha or grab the breath or whatever, you are concentrating on. The feeling automatic comes as a byproduct. But if you go for the feeling, it is just like opening the door to the glass as you see, oh, that's nice. And you close the door in front of you. And then you have to open it again. It's sort of satisfactory, but in the end, when you come out of your meditation, you feel completely exhausted. So you think it was nice. But actually what you do is open the door in front of you. Ah, that's nice. And close it in front of you. Go in, and relax and then you come out. So if you go for the feeling, that's what is happening. You're always, going back and forth.
What I really meant was, if I knew how to do that, physically do that, I would do it every day.
You can't do it
But
physically.
it happens to me when I least expect it, and I don't know how it happens.
You just do the work. You just dig the hole. All what you can do is dig the hole. And the hole will come as a result if you dig at the same place. And the samadhi, the rest or the peacefulness and the happiness is the result of your work. It's not just, just looking for it. It's there in the heart, We have to dig a path to our heart. The moment we have found our heart, everything is happy. Everything is contented. Everything is peaceful. But then the sand comes crushing on again, and then we have to dig again. If we look for the feeling is there in the heart. The moment we get the entrance to our heart, there it is. It has been there all the time. It will never vanish.
Right.
But, the concentration just doesn't allow us to stay there. So, we are thrown out.
Try harder.
Yes. You will see it over the months and over the years. It will become easier and easier, And then in the end, you just sit down, and you're gone. But it's not. That is only one thing, Samadhi is only one thing. It doesn't solve the problems. Investigation of the body solves the problem.
Yes. And the body parts.
Yes. Just think about it. What is the body? Is the nose the body? Is the mouth the body? Is the eyes the body? Is the ears the body? Is the fingers the body? Is the arms the body? Is the brain the body? If you have just the brain, no other things, would you call that body? No. You call it brain. The eyes without the brain, wouldn't make any sense. They are just balls. So everything connected in the right manner, that is what is called body. Just like the Lord Buddha said, when you disassemble a car and see only the bits and pieces, where is the car? You don't see it. You see nuts and bolts and some pieces of metal scrap. You don't have a car to drive. But if it's mounted in the correct fashion, you have a car. But if you mount it in a different way, you might have a bridge. And so is it with the body. So what is the body? We constantly talk about the body, feel about the body, what is it? Is the brain, is the eyes, is it the ears, is it? To see it and understand it. So in order to get disillusioned about our illusion about this body. I call it a biological robot. It's a biological robot. If the chitta is not there, the biological robot doesn't do anything. Because the chitta is a programmer. If the programmer sleeps, the body sleeps.
It's a computer.
Yeah. But it's a very sophisticated.
Yes.
Very complicated as well.
Not the brain, the heart.
Yes. The brain is just used just like the memory in the CPU, The program actually tells the CPU what to do. So the CPU of us is the brain. So the chitta tells the brain what to do, what to think, and what to do. If you do an action, if you put your hand out, you have to send a command. You can think it and think it and think it, but the hand won't go. But the moment you send a signal, it goes there. So the chitta is a programmer. The body doesn't want anything. The body is just body. But just like the programmer of the robot there, he wants the robot to do this. So, he goes. And he picks up that and then puts that down and so on and so on and so on. So then when we are in samadhi, we are not even aware of the body. And the body still stands still. Books. Stands in the same position for hours. Or sits in the same position for hours. While the chitta is completely resting inside and not sending any commands to the body. That's why I call it a biological robot. Nothing else. But we are so attached to that. Okay?
Very good, very good. Thank you very much. I've run out of questions for you.
Huh?
But I've run out of questions, but...
Okay, that's good.
But I would like to know, if I write to you, do I write to you care of what? Hanta?